Hi, my name is Jeetu, and you're watching Impact India. And yes, that is what I'm going to name my show. Uh, Today we have two major events, three if we want to count. Nikhil Malankar's Mumbai Gullies. I don't think that's an event, but let's talk about the two major events. The first one is US export controls on advanced AI. Anthropic's Claude, Fable 5, and Mythos 5 affecting India since June 12th onwards. They're basically restricting our access to these two frameworks, these two models. And the second event is BioCompute startup relocates to the US. For those who don't know, BioCompute is a Bangalore-based deep tech DNA data storage startup founded by Anagha Rajesh. Okay, we're going to talk about that, why and how, and the reasons that they are stating for why they're moving to US. So let's get started with the first news. And if there is more time, we will talk about Nikhil Malankar's Mumbai Gullies, or maybe we will save it for tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, so US export controls a ban on or a restriction on AI, advanced AI models. So the US Commerce Department issued an export control directive forcing Anthropic to disable access to its top AI models, Claude, Fable 5, and Mythos 5, for all foreign nationals, including in India. I mean, who would have seen this coming? That a foreign country might stop its latest, best technology from being used by other foreign nationals? I mean, what did you think this was? Some kind of a charity show? This was done globally for compliance, sparking concerns about sudden cutoffs in critical AI tools for India's digital and public infrastructure. First of all, why is our infrastructure, public infrastructure, dependent on a foreign nation's mercy? I mean, I thought we are some powerful nation. I don't think we are. But there is this belief in most Indians these days that we are some kind of a badass country. But we are begging another nation to give us our critical infrastructure. High level, this is funny. High level US India talks followed, noted around June 25th. High level US India talks is code word for we begging them. We're begging them, please give us your superior technology because we are too stupid to build it on our own, focusing on reliable AI supply and national security. So we are begging a foreign nation to supply their AI so that we could take care of our own national security. So our national security is incumbent, or sorry, is dependent on a foreign nation's mercy. If they're merciful to us, we might have our national security. Otherwise, we won't. Okay. India has been, I mean, this, I'm getting bored of this. This is such a repetitive pattern. India has been in a select group for some anthropic access earlier, but making this a sensitive sovereign tech dependency issue. So why exactly are we dependent on another nation? China was able to make DeepSeek in about $6 million for the base model. That's how much money they spent on training it. For context, $6 million is it's cheaper than Anant Ambani's most expensive watch. That's around $8 to $9 million. So DeepSeek is cheaper than a fucking watch. The training part, actually, not the entire thing. That costs around close to $1 billion. The training is just $6 million. It's cheaper than a fucking watch, and we can't develop something like that of our own. Are you saying we don't have the money for that? Of course we do. We have the money for it. We're a $4 trillion economy. So then what is the issue? The issue is the engineers in this country are subpar. That's why. Okay. We don't have frontier level engineers. We have third rate, third class engineers. Engineering. We have a lot of engineers, but they are all third class or third rate. Um, I will get into this deeper if you want me to explain why. The Just because we have a lot of engineers doesn't mean they can do the same things. So yeah, that's my opinion. I think we have the money, but we don't have the talent. We don't have the engineering talent to pull something off like DeepSeek, like China did. It's not a question of money anymore. It's a question of, do we have the talent? Do we have the right people? The answer is we don't. The next event will highlight this further. The next event that I'm going to talk about is why Bangalore-based BioCompute is leaving. They're shutting down their Indian operations and moving to San Francisco. The reasons cited is need for risk capital. Yeah, like I said in one of my previous videos, India has zero risk capital. Our R&D budget as a percentage of GDP is 0.67%, which is around $18 billion. We spend less than Israel does. Israel is a very tiny country with 1/8 the size of our economy, and they spend around $20 billion, $2 billion more than us. US spends around $1 trillion on research and development. China, same, $1 trillion plus on research and development. We spend 18 billion. So and in all these countries, 70 to 90% of the funding comes from private corporations. In India, people are extremely price sensitive, and I'm not talking about normal people. I'm talking about rich fuckers in this country. The rich companies, billion-dollar companies in this country, are unwilling to put their fair share into research and development like in other nations. Um, so we lack risk capital not because people are poor, because rich people in this country are fucking pussies. That is the only explanation for this. Talent, the other reason that they quoted was talent for frontier tech, which is basically what I said. India has a lot of engineering talent, but they're all subpar. They are third-rate engineers. We don't have frontier level talent. And the third reason that they gave is customers willing to bet big. Most of you, the viewers watching, are in this category. You are not ready for this. There is no customer base for, there's no deep appreciation for advanced or better products. We are okay with whatever we get. That is why we have base models in car. Other countries don't have that. US doesn't have that. All their cars are top models, fully loaded cars. We're the only one of the few nations that have, variants in cars. So the customer base willing to bet big doesn't exist. India's ecosystem isn't ready yet, despite strong talent. Okay, that is just a polite way of saying that India doesn't have the ecosystem yet. Despite strong talent is just she being polite. There is no strong talent. There's just, like I said, third-rate engineers. This has fueled debate on brain drain, deep tech challenges in India. Brain drain is not a real thing. You need to have brain in order for it to drain to other nations. The reason why BioCompute is moving to another country is because they have uh, frontier level brain. We don't have that. We have engineers, but not frontier level engineers. And since we lack that, deep tech innovation is, despite funding, is next to impossible in this country. There are exceptions like, um, what is that company's name? Airbound is an example. Maybe Agnikul, Skyroot, these are exceptions. But most companies are just low-level engineering talent. We're not capable of deep tech. It's not like we don't have the funding. We don't have the talent. The average IQ of India is 80, which means half the country is below the level called as clinical retardation. And the other half who's above 80, most of the IQ people in the 80 to 100 IQ range who become engineers are not capable of deep innovation. So that is the bottleneck of our society, and it keeps getting better each generation. Each generation, I think, has an IQ increase of about 1.5 to 3 points, and each year of schooling increases IQ by 1 point some percent. So that does help. So, but we're not there yet. But since India has about 1.4 billion people, if you distribute that on a bell curve where normal is 80 IQ, so we have, if you move one standard deviation away, we have at least 140 to 180 million Indians that are triple digit IQ. So there is sufficient, like 140 to 180 million people is more than some countries. population. So we have triple digit IQ people within our country that can do this, but uh, they're the high superstition and high science kind of coexist in this nation. So we're a nation, even when we are highly educated and have a high IQ, we are still dogmatic. And that is another limiting factor on our frontier level talent. We, even when we have triple digit IQ people, they're still, crazy and superstitious. And that is one of the few reasons, and they're extremely susceptible to wishful thinking. Take Nikhil Malankar as example for his Mumbai gullies. He, and this is another topic, but we will get into that today. He, try to build a AAA game from the get-go without consideration as to is this even feasible for him to do it. Uh, just because you have the wish, the will, doesn't mean you can. You can suck at something that you are passionate about. And that is something that we as Indians need to learn. Just because you want something doesn't mean you can do that. Everything is not possible. You cannot break the laws of physics. Just like that, you cannot break the laws of biology. If you're limited by IQ, then that is that is the limitation within which you have to work. As long as you don't admit this, you would aim for the moon and fall on your fucking face. This is not a glass ceiling that you can break. It's a ceiling made out of fucking biology or titanium. You'll smack your face against it and break your head. So that's my opinion. Do let me know what you think in the comment section. I know I will get a lot of hate for this. I know, I get it, but that's fine. Truth must, however unpopular, must be told unapologetically. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you in another video.